Okay, so a couple of people might be coming in after we start. That's okay. I'm going to share my screen and show you the presentation that I have created. So basically with this, there's a lot of information on it. I'm not reading off the slides, like, nobody came here to hear me, give you a keynote speech, but I'm going to kind of play it off of, some of your answers to things, and we'll see what we need to touch more on as we go along. So welcome to Cricut for Beginners. I started this class because when I got a Cricut, I was so excited and literally nobody would show me how to do anything. I had tons of coworkers who had a Cricut and I would say, oh, how do you do this? And they were like, I don't know, just look it up. But I just wanted to ask like a real person. So that's really what's behind my brand. So I have a lot of content for crafters coming, and it's really just me sharing what I know. I'm sorry, Diana, can you hear now or you still can't hear? Just want to make sure that everybody is good. You might have to connect your audio on the bottom because it looks like everyone else can hear me. Worst comes to worst, you can leave and then I will let you back in. So introduction, just a little bit about myself. I am a teacher. I'm a mom. I have tried everything in the world to make extra money. I took surveys for hours. I tried to teach ESL online. I really wanted to do something that would support my family. Like, I want to be able to do things with my son. I want to be able to, go to the store and buy what I want because I want it. And with my teaching salary, that was hard to do. I love teaching, but it wasn't enough for me and it wasn't creative enough for me. So having my Cricut literally changed my entire life. And I think as you become more accustomed to it, I think you'll realize that it might have the same effect on you too. I love the feeling of people asking me, where did you get that? Can you make that for me? And that is really where my business grew from. So I will talk a little bit towards the end about how you can grow your business. We're just going to touch on it. But yeah, so that's how we got here today. So like I said, I'm giving this class to help others. I want to give back. And what you can expect from this class is to be more familiar with Cricut. Even if you've had your Cricut for a couple of months, you're going to be more comfortable enough to tackle the obstacles that you are going to face, which brings me to my third point. You will make mistakes. I have ruined, probably hundreds of dollars of vinyl. I have had the Cricut cut my mat in half. It's part of the process. Even after 5 years, I still do it. Nobody's perfect. It's kind of like a rite of passage that you ruin at least one project a month, I would say. So let's get started. We're going to briefly touch on the different types of machines, blades, mats, tools. What I will say is that when it comes to what you should buy, I'm going to give you guys what I use and what works best for me, but that might not be the same for you. So I do encourage you to go on Amazon and type in Cricut supplies and you'll see other things come up, like not, the Cricut brand supplies or things like that. So let's talk a little bit about the machines, because I think that just depending on the different kind of machines, it's good to have an understanding. I have the Explorer Air 2. I have not made the jump to the Cricut Maker. I'm familiar with the Maker, but I haven't made the jump. The only real difference, they both cut, right? They both have the same technology. The Cricut Maker is the Pro Edition and the Explorer Air 2 is like the entry level. So you're going to be able to use the knife blade on your Cricut Maker, the adaptive tool system, a scoring wheel, a rotary wheel, which is for more like fabric and crafters. So the main difference is, if you see here, the Cricut Explorer Air has a dial. That's how you set your, that's how you tell the machine, I want you to cut this material. The Cricut Maker doesn't have that. So when you're in design space, it's just going to ask you, what do you want to cut? And it will go from there. The Cricut Joy is teeny tiny. It's adorable. I kind of want one, but I feel like I have no use for it. It's a little bit more limiting in the technology. We're not going to talk too much about that today, but if you have questions about the Joy later, I will let you ask me. Sorry. I get a little tongue-tied. Types of blades. So there are different types of blades that you can get for your Cricut. As you can see, the first three, the fine point, deep point, and fabric blade, can only be used, they can be used with the Maker and the Explore Air 2. These tools here, the rotary, the knife, and the scoring wheel, can only be used with your Maker. I have to be honest, I only use the fine point blade. If you're doing a lot of paper crafting with heavy cardstock, that blade, it's like sandpaper on the blade. It's going to wear it out really, really quickly. So if you're doing something like that, then I would definitely go for the deep point blade, but I use the fine point blade, and I'm at a point now where I make anywhere from, honestly, it could be 25 orders a week to 75 orders a week, depending, and I replace my blade every 3 to 4 months. I kind of just like, I notice like sometimes it won't cut as well, and if I notice that it's getting a little dull, I will change it, but I don't think that you need to like buy a new blade every month. I haven't had to do that. So mats, I'm gonna give you guys my favorite mat hack. The mats that the Cricut has, and I'm going to unshare this for 1 second just so you can all see my face. So the mats that Cricut has, I believe that the Cricut now comes with the light blue mat. So if you got the Maker, did yours come with the blue, that light blue mat? Yeah, mine came with this when I got it, forever ago, this green mat has vinyl on it. I use this for everything. This is the standard mat. You're doing heat transfer vinyl, regular vinyl, cardstock, you want to stick with the green one. I also use these interchangeably, but the best thing for you to really do is make, like, if you're using a bunch of different materials, get multiple green mats and make that like bright paper on it. This is my paper mat, this is my vinyl mat. I find that it helps them last a little longer because these are expensive. Like, nothing at Cricut ever goes on sale. These get really expensive, so try to have a designated mat for what you're doing. I never use the light blue mat. If you're using like printer paper, construction paper, then yeah, but I don't think many people are using like just straight printer paper, not like a sticker paper. So what I want to show you about how to preserve your mat, and you've probably heard people say this before. So I have a piece of sticker paper. I'm gonna stick it on my mat. Okay, so now you put it through your print then cut, it goes through your Cricut, you're ready to take it off. Don't peel the paper off the mat like this, because then you're gonna have a sad, like, it gets all curled, doesn't look pretty. You always want to peel, and this is going to help you keep your mats, alive for longer. Always put it upside down, peel the mat off. Obviously down on a table, I'm just trying to show you, and it will keep your material flat. So that's definitely a good tip to keep in mind. Let's go back to sharing my screen. The fabric mat is the pink mat, which you can use with your Cricut Maker. Is anybody doing any type of fabric crafting? You can let me know. I usually don't gear my classes towards that because I haven't found a lot of people who actually are fabric crafting. Okay, so you need to get, I have this picture over here, go to the Dollar Tree and get the LA's Totally Awesome Cleaner. It's $1 and you will never have to buy a new mat ever again. So you get this spray. I don't know what's in it, probably a lot of chemicals, probably not good for you, but it cleans my mat and actually makes it stickier than when I started. So you just want to spray your mat down with it. I take my scraping tool and I scrape all like the gross gunk on it because everything gets stuck to the mat, dog hair, my hair, dust. I scrape it off. I get a sponge. I go in circular motions around my mat, rinse the mat clean. I dry it with a hair dryer, and the mat is so sticky. It's like better than when I bought it. So like I said, mats are expensive. You want to keep them clean. The NICAPA cutting mats, if you guys want to write this down, if not, like I said, I'm going to send you the presentation, are the exact same thing as the Cricut mat. They're just cheaper and you get more in the pack. So, also Tracy's doing the fabric crafting. So do you have the Maker where you're doing it with the rotary blade? I really want to get into that a little bit more. Oh, awesome. So you have all of the stuff that goes with the Maker. So you know that you need your pink mat if you're not using bonded. Yeah, NICAPA, it's like it's the exact same thing as this mat. I mean, look at the picture and look at the mat. It's like the same thing, and it's cheaper. So that's where we're gonna get into a little later. I hardly buy Cricut brand stuff. So let's talk a little bit about tools, and I am going to X out of this. Oops, so it really depends what you're doing. Everyone's like, what do I need for my Cricut? It depends what you're doing, but there are a couple of things that I do think every crafter with a Cricut needs. So number one is you obviously need a pair of scissors. You need, this is your holy grail. You're doing any kind of vinyl crafting, you need a scraper. You don't have to buy the Cricut one. They sell a bunch of different ones on Amazon. I do happen to like the Cricut one. You need your weed pick to weed vinyl, and everyone's always, when they start, they're like, what the heck is weeding? Like, what am I doing? You're removing the part of your design that you don't want. So when I explain some of the projects later, we will get into that. So you need a good pick, and you need I just dropped it on the floor. Where is it? Oh, I did my spatula. So you need a spatula, and I'm gonna show you my screen again. This Cricut basic tool set is a great place to start, but I think that once you know what you like and what you need, you can obviously get different brands, you can buy cheaper ones on Amazon, but don't go crazy, don't buy everything under the sun. Get the basic toolkit and you should be good to go. There are a couple of extras that you don't absolutely need, but they will make your life a little bit easier. I recommend that you get a lint roller for any HTV projects. You don't need to buy the Cricut one, like that's ridiculous. Go to the dollar store, get yourself a lint roller. My favorite hack, and I have none near me because obviously no one can get Clorox wipes, is get an empty Clorox wipe container for your vinyl scraps. So the part where the wipe comes out of, it's like, like that little circle has the X on it. My pick fits in it perfectly, and it helps keep my craft room a lot cleaner because I am the messiest crafter you will ever meet. A paper trimmer, very helpful when you're doing decals. Whenever I cut something on my Cricut, I literally take my paper trimmer and I cut. Like if the design is 3x4, I make the size of my vinyl 3.5 by 4.5. I hate to waste vinyl. Another question I get asked all the time is, do I need an easy press? Now, I'm going to be honest. If you are looking to sell, t-shirts, anything with heat transfer vinyl on it, you're going to really appreciate having either an easy press, or I have, if you can see, I have this t-shirt press over here. So it's really hard to do it with an iron. I mean, it's not even worth it when you're starting out. You really need pressure. I personally prefer this to the easy press, but at least the easy press is larger. Your iron, it's not even worth it. Your iron's not going to get up to the temperature that it needs to. You're not going to be able to apply pressure. So really think about investing in an easy press, or if you want to go with the big leagues, get this guy. This I got on sale. It's like $300 now. I did not pay $300. I got this from Pro World Inc. They have deals all the time. I think they're one of those websites that are like, our products are $500, but they're 40% off every week. So definitely, I would join their email list. I think they have one, and they'll hopefully have a sale really soon. This is the best investment for my business that I made. So, okay. So that covers basic tools. Does anybody have any questions about the tools? Anything? You can take yourself. Okay, go ahead. You guys can take yourself off if you want to talk on the camera, you can. Yeah, Tracy, the uneven heat from the iron, because you're taking your iron and you're like, you don't really know how much pressure you're applying. It's just a mess. It's not worth it. For the Cricut press, does size matter? I think if you don't know what you're going to be doing in the long run, I think it's more beneficial to get the bigger size. My heat press is 15 by 15, so I think that anything around that size, 16 by 20, you have to know what you're doing. If you're making t-shirts, you need a bigger press. Personally, that little, what is it called? The mini press, that little teeny tiny thing. I put little things in my heat press all the time. Like, I don't find that you need that little iron to do it. So think about what you're doing before you make that decision. Yeah, so 9x9 is a good size, especially if you're thinking about the design of what you're doing. So I don't think I typically make, for my business, I don't make designs typically that are bigger than about 10 inches. So I did need that 15x15, but you have to know your business. It depends. All right, so we are going to get into Design Space. So I am going to just give you like a brief overview. I'm sure some of you are familiar, so I'm not going to harp on the things that are a little bit obvious, but I do want to show you a couple of key features. So when we go into, I think I have to stop. So I'm going to open Design Space. And, okay. So you go into, don't ask, these are all decals that my fiance had me make for his dirt bike. So that's why these are all here like that. So you want to go into your projects and, no, I don't want to go to my projects. I want to go into new, sorry. So we have this lovely canvas. You have this, I call this like my navigation. You have your layers, and then this is basically your transform controls. So everything that you input into your Cricut wants to cut. Like your Cricut is a cutting machine. Think of Design Space as a really watered down version of Adobe Illustrator. That is what Design Space is based off of, Adobe Illustrator. It's a vector program. So when you hear the word SVG, and I'm sure you've all heard that word before, you might be wondering, okay, what the heck is an SVG? I will show you in a moment. It's a scalable vector image, which means it is designed to be transferred from your computer to another program like Cricut Design Space. If you ever have t-shirts made like through a company, they ask you for vector graphics. So you can't just take any image off the internet and put it into your Cricut. So that is something that I was working with somebody yesterday, and they found this image on Google and they were like, it's not working, I don't understand. And I had to explain to her, there's a big difference between finding an image on Google and finding an image that's optimized for cutting. So we will get into uploading images, but basically if I'm gonna upload a shape or I'm going to upload text, so let's write, my Cricut wants to cut these things, right? So when you go up here into the top left, you have your line type. So I might decide, you know what, I don't want my Cricut to cut this, I want my Cricut to draw it. So now my Cricut knows, look in the layers palette, that this is a draw layer. So my Cricut, when I go to make it, I think I might have to turn my, oh, it's on. So it knows that I need to draw. It's going to prompt me, and I apologize. Sometimes when I'm on Zoom, it takes Design Space, like goes crazy. So it's telling me, I made this a draw layer. You need to import a pen. So I know that Cricut can be overwhelming, but if you just take the time to read what it's telling you to do, it typically won't steer you wrong. So you need to put in the black pen for this layer. But if I want to cut this layer, this is my cut layer. See, it says no tool required. Okay. So let's cancel the cut. Let's cancel. Okay. So I want this to be a cut layer. I want my Cricut to cut this circle out. So these controls up here are basically your editing tools. You can cut, copy, and paste. Get used to using the commands on your keyboard. So if you're on a Mac, Control C is copy, Control V is paste. I'm sorry, Command C, Command V. If you're on a Windows, it's Control C and Control V. You're gonna move a lot quicker if you use those controls. So for select all, you're gonna hear me say rubber band select. That is when you take your mouse, hold down, and drag it over what you wanna select. So that's a rubber band select. When nothing is selected on your board, you can come over here and press select all, or you can press deselect. I also do the computer command A on my Mac. If you're on a Windows, it's Control A. So I want to put this hello in this circle, and I want it to be cut out. So this needs to be a little smaller. You can adjust the size here. This little lock is your constraint. So I can only, if I make this 5 inches wide, it's going to keep it in proportion. But if I unlock it, I can make it any size that I want. So let's, I want to make sure that this is perfectly centered. So I'm going to rubber band select over the 2 objects, go to align, and center them. These are your align tools. So it's basically just going to help you make your design in Design Space. So center. Now let's talk about our tools in the bottom right-hand corner. Slice, weld, attach, flatten, and contour. So slice is exactly what it sounds like. You are going to essentially use whatever's on top is going to act like a stamp, like a cutout stamp. So I want my hello to be stamped out of this circle. I'm going to select both objects. You can only slice 2 objects at a time. If I add another shape, like let's say I want a star here. I don't know what this design would even be. I'm just trying to come up with something. So if I want to stamp both of these out, I have to do them only one at a time, because if I select, look, that slice option is not there. So let's move this star. We'll select and slice. So now you're going to get your original piece, the cutout, and here I am left with the transparency, which is telling my Cricut that it's going to cut the circle out, and then it's going to cut out the letters. So let's change the color so you can see this a little bit better. This color means nothing when you're cutting, right? Like some people I think get confused that your Cricut is a printer. It's not. It's not. This is just for reference. So if you're trying to make a design, it is helpful for you to like envision how it's going to look by changing the color, but this doesn't mean anything. So now if I want to cut the star out, I'm going to move my arrange tool. I'm going to click arrange, move to the front, move forward. We'll move it forward 1 step. If you have lots of layers, you want to send it straight to the front. Now I can stamp it out. Before I couldn't do that. So we'll slice it. And now I have all these pieces. I want to get rid of this mess. I'm going to rubber band select and delete. So here I have this new cutout shape. And what I was trying to show you is, do you see this thin black line that's going around the circle and going around the lettering? That's telling your Cricut where it's going to cut, and that's just good for your reference. So slicing is you're making multiple shapes out of a pre-existing shape, but welding is when you want to take those shapes and literally mesh them together. So I want to make, let's make a house. I want to have my base. Make this guy yellow. Let's make a little roof. Okay. So my Cricut has 2 layers. So I have my square layer and my triangle layer. My Cricut, and I keep saying my Cricut like it's a person, but when I send this to Cricut, it's going to organize these into 2 layers based on their color. If I made them both blue, they would be on the same layer. So I want to make this a new shape. I don't want my Cricut to cut out the triangle and then the square. So I'm going to move this, rubber band select, and press weld. So that line's going to go away. Oh, that didn't work because it wasn't close enough. Aha. So you have to overlap them, rubber band select, weld them together, and now that line separating the 2 shapes disappeared. Now you have a new shape. Your Cricut is going to know to cut out the shape, the outline. So the weld is going to weld your two shapes together, and it's going to make an outline around it. That is weld. So some people get weld and attach confused, and I am going to stop after this and I'm going to take any questions. So people get weld and attach confused. So I want to do this, like, let's see. I don't know, I want to do this little circles as they get smaller, but I don't want them to be welded together because I don't need them to be, like, I don't want this. I don't want this snowman. I want them to just be side by side, and I want my Cricut to keep them where they are. If I take these and I go into design space, it didn't keep them. Like, see how these are a little bit higher? I want them to be attached into place. So let's align these perfectly. Now I'm going to attach them. Now these are linked together, and when I send them to Cricut, they're exactly where I left them. See, the spacing is the same. So attach, you are able to detach. So if I decide later in this project that I don't want this like this anymore, I'm going to detach it. But when you weld, you can't unweld. You can undo by pressing the back arrow, but you cannot unweld. So that is the difference between weld and attach and slice. Flatten I will get into in a minute, and contour. So before I go on, everybody good? Anybody have any questions? I'm sorry too if some of you know some of this stuff. This is for beginners, but like I said, I think that if you really understand what the tools do, you'll be better when you're designing. So let's talk about flatten. I was explaining with this circle, my Cricut wants to cut this circle. So even if I put in a white piece of paper, it's going to cut a white circle. But you know, I want to create a thank you sticker for my packaging, and I want to have this circle. Let's make it pink. And we'll just write the word thank you on it. So, okay. We'll center this. Let's rubber band select, align, center it perfectly. So if I send this to Cricut, it says it wants to cut it. It's going to cut it on 2 separate layers. I don't want this. I want to actually print out a sticker. Like, I want this to be a pink circle with black text. So I am going to rubber band select or select all and flatten it. This is what you need to do for print then cut. So if you are designing in Cricut and you want, do I have an example? Let me show you. A print then cut sticker, you have to flatten it. So I am going to press flatten. And now the cut lines disappeared. And when I go to make it, you are going to have the print then cut. See, this is an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. The black box is indicating print then cut. And when I go to continue, it's going to prompt me to print it. So that is if you are designing your print then cut stickers in Cricut. If you are doing something like this, so I bought this file on Etsy. I uploaded it. We're about to get into uploading. This was an image. I saved it as a print then cut. I don't have to do that extra step of flattening. So what I just showed you is only for if you're designing the actual sticker or whatever. You might not be designing a sticker, whatever it is, a card. That is what you have to do to tell your Cricut that you want to print that. Then we have, go back to sharing, contouring. So contouring is just a fancy way of saying it's going to show you all of the details in your design. So I didn't really touch on this, but you have the projects and image panel. If you are a Cricut Access member, which if you're starting out, I highly recommend for the first month, you take that 30-day free trial and you learn all that you can with it. So if you have Cricut Access, it just means that anything with the green A in projects and images are free for you to use. Some of these are already free, but like this is 99 cents. If I click it, it would be free. I don't actually have the Cricut Access anymore, but when I started it, I did. So back to contouring. Let's take this sunflower, for example. So I really like this sunflower, but you know, I want to make this a layered design. So let's copy this. Let's make two sunflowers. I want to make this solid. So I want to fill in all of these teeny little cut lines over here. So I'm going to go to contour. And contour is going to show me where all the cuts are. So these are all the places, see that those outlines are indicating where my Cricut's going to cut. I can decide that maybe I just want to turn off these cut lines. So I'm going to click. I'm going to turn those off, and then when I go back, it removed those cuts, but I want to remove all of them. So let's hide all the contours. And I apologize, Zoom and Cricut just don't like each other. So I'm going to hide all these contours. And now let's make this yellow. Let's lay this on top of it. And now I have a layered image. So that, if you ever want to create like where you have this backing and then the details on a separate layer, you can use contour to do that. Or maybe you just want to get rid of certain parts of your image. That is basically what contouring is. It's just where you're going to go to turn off certain cut lines. So then if I go to make this, my Cricut knows, you know, I have to cut this on one layer and this on another. So that is how you would create a vinyl, like a layered vinyl decal or a heat transfer vinyl. But I could also, let's make this perfect, decide that I want to print this out. So we're going to go to flatten. And do you see those details get a little bit thinner? Like if I go back, they're much thicker, but you're flattening it. It's taking away the cut line. Now I have an image based off of that one simple clip art image that I found in Cricut Access. See, so I don't have it. It's going to make me pay for it before I print it. But we don't do that here. Okay. So I know I talked a little bit about print then cut. So let me go here. So yeah, so you can't add more cut lines in contouring. You're not able to add, you're just able to turn off the pre-existing cut lines. That was a really good question. So print then cut for t-shirts. I'm going to give you my honest opinion. I'm always going to be honest with you guys. I don't like print then cut for t-shirts. They do sell an inkjet heat transfer vinyl. So you have to I think Expressions Vinyl sells it, 651 vinyl. You put the design through your printer. It's the same exact thing that I just showed you. You just have to mirror it. I don't think they're the best quality. So you can do that for t-shirts. I'm going to get into how exactly you do t-shirts with vinyl. But yes, if you want to have like, you know, you want to go find a picture of Elsa and put it on your daughter's t-shirt, you're not really going to be able to do that with heat transfer vinyl. You would have to use the print then cut. But I'm going to explain that a little bit more in detail later. So that is flattening, contouring, all of those awesome tools. I want to talk a little bit about fonts. Cricut and fonts are they just are a little difficult sometimes. So if you go to your text tool and you type and print, you know, I'm going to change this up. Let's see. Let's do some of my fonts. If you guys don't know how to download fonts, I do have a tutorial on my YouTube channel. It's super easy. You can get free fonts. I buy all my fonts. I like to have the commercial use. So I'm going to pick this font. And like all is fine, right? This is a print font. This is, you know, it's a print text. It's not script. My Cricut is prepared to handle this. So we're good. If I change the color over here, I can change the font size, the letter spacing. If you have 2 lines of text, you can change the line spacing. The alignment is here, centered, justify, doesn't matter, it's only one thing here. I can curve it up, I can curve it down, and I can curve it up. So really, there's nothing different about creating print text than like, you know, you go into your word processor and just typing in the word hello. The problem arises when you want to type in script. So let's write happy birthday. And let's find a script font. Let's see. All of these fonts, I don't know if anybody else is a teacher, but I'm a teacher and I use Teachers Pay Teachers for like everything at work. They have the best fonts and I buy them on there. Okay, this is my favorite font of all time. It's called Apricots. Apricots. So this is not cute. This is a script font and they're not sticking together. I've literally seen people sell products like this. Write this down right now, what I'm about to tell you. This ain't it, okay? So this is a script font. We all know that script, the letters are connected. For some reason, Cricut just can't do the hard work for you. They're like, no, they're separate letters and we're going to spread them out. This is super frustrating. I'm changing the color just so you guys can see those cut lines. So I have a few options here. I can go up to letter space and I can reduce the letter spacing until they are overlapping. And sometimes this works. So I'm gonna zoom in a little bit. So sometimes this works no problem. The B and the I are perfectly spaced, but all these other letters are like, no, we're not doing it. So if I keep changing the letter spacing, it just gets uneven and it's just not working. So you want to click on your text and you can go up here to advanced and ungroup, or you can just right click, or you can go to you have lots of places to ungroup. So, or you can go to your layers palette and ungroup. So I'm going to right click and ungroup. Now all of my letters are separate files. So it changed from one layer to now I have all of these separate letters. What I do is, and this is the same on a Mac or a Windows, I click on my first letter and I'm holding down Shift while I'm clicking. Well, no, I'm sorry, I take that back. I'm gonna move this H over until it's perfect. Now I'm gonna hold on to Shift and I'm going to click on the A and move it over until it's where I want it. And I just shift click and I'm using the arrow on my computer to nudge it over. So this is good. Sorry if you hear my husband singing to my son. So these are good together. I'm gonna shift click. So you can rubber band select, but I just like to shift click. It's just my shift click, move it over. And I'm going to do that until it's where I want it. This just works a little bit better than the letter spacing. It really depends on the font that you're using. Some fonts I have absolutely no problem with, and other fonts, the spacing just doesn't work out. Okay, so look carefully. There are lines still. This is not going to cut as one fluid piece. So I need to take my letters, select all of them. So I'm going to move this a little bit, zoom out, select all of my text, and I'm going to weld it together. And those little lines that are separating the letters are going to disappear. So now I have one piece. My Cricut's not going to cut out each letter individually. So write this down, weld your script fonts. If you are designing in another program, like I design on Photoshop, I don't have to do that. Like Photoshop knows not to separate the script like that, what Cricut does. Nobody said Cricut's perfect, I love it, but she's not perfect. So, okay, Inkscape is very similar to Photoshop, very similar. So do we have any questions about fonts before I go into uploading SVGs? When cutting out birthday toppers, how do you get the dots on the eye? That's a really good question. So birthday cake toppers are different than HTV because they're literally hanging in the air. So right here, what I would do, I have the eye right here. I would have to create a shape. Oh, I'm not sharing, sorry. Oops. So I have to now go in and I have to create something to connect it, because unfortunately my little dot here does not know how to levitate, so I need to help her out. So I am going to make a square and I'm going to unlock it so I can shrink it down. That looks let's see. So that's obviously too big. I can make it a little bit smaller. Still, oh my God. So now it's connected. That's one way to do it. Something else that I do, and again, this really depends on the font that you're using. So let's just, you can kind of like stick it onto part of another letter. So let's do, see, this is why you guys come to the class, because I can do these things. Okay, so let's adjust the letter space. I've seen people do it where they find a place to attach it together. So if you welded this together, it would be one piece, and then that eye is attached there. You have to play around with it a little bit, but that one of those two options will work. Something else that I do for cake toppers is I just make an offset of the background and I stick it on. Cake toppers are so annoying and I love them. I've seen people create such beautiful things, but I don't have the patience. There's the tiny pieces and the glue. Okay, so.
Alexis, question. What were you clicking when you were pushing shift, click, and then over to the next letter?
I was clicking using the arrows on my keyboard.
Okay. Over to the next. Okay.
Yep.
Perfect. Thanks.
So when you guys get my ebook, I have a whole part about like the computer commands. Try to like get used to using them because they're really, really helpful. You can just like move a lot quicker. Yeah. So whenever I'm nudging, I'm using the arrows on my keyboard. So let's see where we are. Okay. Oops. Okay, sorry. I didn't realize I X'd out of my Canva presentation. So we are going to talk now about uploading images, and I think that this is probably the most important thing right now because getting images, like I was saying before, you can't just go to Google and say, I want this clip art and I'm going to put it in Cricut. It's not always going to work like that. We're going to talk about SVGs. I just want to make sure that I'm on track and I'm ready to. You guys got a much better performance than yesterday. Yesterday I was like, things were taking much longer because it was my first time. So you guys got like, you know, the tools, fonts, we're good. Uploading images. Okay. So I have an image on my computer, let me find it, that I created as an SVG. So SVG is scalable vector graphic. If you are creating on Cricut and you are looking on Etsy, you're looking on Google for images to import into Cricut, just look for SVGs. Just make your life easier. SVGs are made for your Cricut. They are made to be cut with your Cricut for a number of reasons. So I designed my own SVGs in Adobe Illustrator. And when I do that, I am setting it so no matter if you want to take that SVG and you want to cut it 10 feet wide or you want to cut it 10 inches small, you're not going to lose quality. So I'm going to show you an SVG that I created. And I saved this SVG as a number of different documents. So let's go to demo. Okay. Sorry, let me share my whole computer so you guys can see. I was just sharing the one window. Okay, so I have this wild one SVG that I created. And you might have seen it. As an SVG, and SVGs are smart. So when I upload this into Cricut, let's do this, my Cricut software knows that this is 3 different pieces. So this is what you need to do. Vinyl, like layered vinyl and heat transfer vinyl. Let's get rid of happy birthday. So when I go over here, I'm going to click ungroup. I have 3 different pieces. This is how you can create a multicolored effect. When you are buying SVGs from someone on Etsy, they have designed these files to be cut with the laser cutter, to be cut with Cricut. This is 3 different pieces. So I'm going to show you. Okay. Stop sharing. So I have that exact design. This is that base piece. So my Cricut knew when I go to make it, it's organizing those 3 different layers onto 3 different mats. Then I have this piece, right? So this is heat transfer vinyl. I would press this on my shirt, peel it off, lay this on top, and then press it. This is why you want to look for SVGs. You're getting layered images that you can create dimension. Now, if you want to print that out and make it a sticker, which I've done, all you have to do is select it and flatten it. So let's go back to my screen for a second. So we are going to I'll show you when you go to make it. You don't even have to ungroup it. So I'll show you. If you don't ungroup it, Cricut still knows that these are 3 different pieces, right? So it's organizing them onto different layers, different mats. And when you resize it, select it all and resize it, you're not losing quality. So I can make this as big as I want, and my lines are still really, really crisp. So now I'm going to take that same image that I just saved in a different format as a PNG and show you the difference. So when I uploaded my SVG, my Cricut didn't ask me to do anything else because the software knew, okay, it's an SVG, it's a cut file. When I drag in my PNG, it's going to ask me questions. Is it simple, complex, moderately complex, or complex? We'll say it's complex. Now, I created this with a transparent background, but sometimes you're going to see this and this is going to be white. So like, for example, let's say I wanted to get rid of this. You can click all the white out. But notice as I'm clicking it, how clean it's cutting it because of the program that I designed it in. So you have to go through this whole process. I'm going to give you an example of like a picture that I found on Google. You can erase certain parts, which we don't want to do that. And you can crop it if you need to. So if you go to continue when you're uploading in images, you're going to get 2 different options. Save as a print and cut, or save as a cut image. So since this is a PNG, the software is only tracing the outermost edge. It's not sophisticated enough to know that this is 3 different parts. PNGs don't have that capability. It's like printing out a picture from the internet and, sticking it on your wall. It's only capable of tracing that outermost layer. However, this is perfect for a PNG. I want to print this out and make it a sticker and, put it on my niece's, I don't know, her first birthday present. So write this down. PNG is for print and cut, and SVG is for cut files. Does that make sense? Does everybody understand the difference? That makes sense? Okay, good. So just stick to SVGs for cut files, PNGs for print and cut. There are a bunch of other options, but those are the 2 highest quality. So I'm even going to show you if I import this for print and cut, like I want to make this a sticker. When I stretch this image, it's going to lose quality because it's not a vector graphic. So if I keep stretching this, we want to, maybe work with me today. Come on. See how those lines are now getting blurry? It's not meant to be stretched, PNG files. Okay, so that is, when I'm going to do a couple of more videos. I have one filmed, I just need to edit it, like about the actual process of designing that. You can't design SVGs in Cricut. So that's the only bummer. Like, you can't design an SVG and save it. You can, there are ways to do it, but this involves you, I have to buy this leopard print from somebody. I have to buy the heart. It's just a little complicated. There is a way to do it, but just don't waste your time doing it in Cricut because it's just going to be frustrating. I will have tutorials on how to actually make these graphics. If you go ahead and download, even though we don't have Silhouette, if you download the Silhouette software that's my pink machine. So my Silhouette Cameo right here. You actually can design SVGs in Silhouette and save them and upload them to Cricut. That's a whole other thing. I don't want to confuse anybody. Yes, I'm going to do a class on making SVGs. If we have time, maybe I can show you really quickly. It's actually not that complicated. Okay, so let's see where we are. Oh, we're good on time. So I want to talk a little bit before we do the questions about the 3 basic projects that you can create with your Cricut. Now, your limits are really endless. I always think of Cricut like a really, really fancy pair of scissors. You can pretty much cut anything out with it. But there are 3 main reasons that I think people buy a Cricut, and that's to make t-shirts, to make decals, and to make stickers. So let's go through what you need for that. Okay, so I made this little graphic here. Write this down. If you have not done heat transfer vinyl before, this is super, super important. The shiny side of your, and let me actually grab a roll so I can show you. The shiny side of your, I don't have it. The shiny side of your vinyl needs to go down. So that's different than placing the color side up, like on a vinyl decal. The shiny side has to go down and you have to mirror your image. So I'm going to bring you into Design Space and show you what I mean by that. Okay, so this I already cut out, but this is the carrier sheet. It's shiny, you know, it's reflecting light. The purple over here, I mean, I have a bright light, it's shiny, but you can see when you have it in front of you, it's more matte. You have to put it down so it cuts the design from the backing. This plastic carrier is what's going to keep the pieces together. So something more intricate like that, this does not go on, this doesn't stay with your shirt, this plastic carrier piece. It's just keeping the pieces together. It's like your transfer tape for vinyl. So shiny side down, and you have to mirror the image. So if I have, I'm gonna go back to my SVG that I have over here. You have to mirror it because you technically are cutting it upside down. So when you put it on the shirt, it's going to be backwards. Go to make it, and you want to turn the mirror on for every piece. Word of advice, because I have actually, when I started, I gave somebody a gift that was mirrored, that was not mirrored, and it looked backwards to them, and I didn't even realize. I made a decal for my Cricut that said mirror your HTV, so I wouldn't forget. Okay, so let's go back to my little presentation. Okay, so pretty much HTV is used for anything that you want to put like fabric on, and you need obviously an iron or a heat press to activate it. So I get this question asked all the time, where do you get your shirts? I get all of my shirts from jiffyshirts.com. Bella and Canvas are my absolute favorite shirts. They're just really good quality, and they're not like stiff. Like I don't know. Certain shirts, they look like a man shirt, and for me, I like a little bit thinner of a t-shirt. Jiffy Shirts has really, really good deals. I also get Canvas tote bags. Do not buy Cricut heat transfer vinyl. It's god awful. Don't buy it. Buy Sizer Easy Weed. So I have that here. You can get it at Michael's. There are a couple of places for you to get it, like 651 vinyl. You can get it from Sign Warehouse. Lots of places to buy it. It's just way better than Cricut, and it's cheaper. So I have written down for you the process, and I'm not going to go into that too much now because you will, you'll be able to reference this. So if your design for heat transfer vinyl, like my leopard print heart that I showed you, has multiple colors, you're going to need to layer those pieces. So I'm going to stop. Does anybody have any questions about heat transfer vinyl before I move on from that? Like I said, it's just the basics. I'm just giving you guys like a little glimpse at it. We're all good? Okay. So now we're going to get into vinyl. And vinyl is pretty universal. I mean, I put vinyl on everything. I make these adorable little Starbucks cups. I make decals. Any smooth surface that you have, you can put vinyl on. So for vinyl, you obviously need the vinyl. And I'm going to show you guys the best money I ever spent. So when I started out using vinyl, like Michael's only had like 10 colors and they were $2 each. And I was like, I don't know. So I bought this bundle. This is every color of Oracle 651 vinyl. There's like over 75 sheets here, and it was $40. I have every color for me to reference. And what I did was I just cut a little piece off of the corner and I saved them. So I have like what the colors are, and I don't need to like, try to guess from the website. So you can get this on Amazon. Just type in Oracle 651 color bundle, and I have all of them. So I was actually surprised at how many colors that they made. I really recommend this if you're getting started. This actually goes longer than you think. It got me further than I thought it would. So when you're starting out, don't buy it at Michael's or Hobby Lobby. It's so expensive. Buy it on Amazon. Buy it at 651 Vinyl, Brilliant Vinyl. I do have a couple of links for you guys you'll be able to check out after. So then you also need transfer tape, right? Like that is how you are going to actually get your design off of your paper. I think I have a decal somewhere. I thought I did. Oh, here they are. Okay, so perfect example. So this is a decal that I made. This is tech wrap vinyl, so it's holographic. So use Oracle and then tech wrap for anything specialty. So I need to get this off the paper. I can't just peel it off. I have to use my transfer tape. So I have two different types of transfer tape that I like. This is the Frisco Craft. This lasts me forever. It's really not expensive. I like that it's a little bit thinner when I'm applying it to a curved surface like my cup. So this is really good. But when I'm selling my decals, or like I'm selling somebody a decal, I really like, this doesn't even have a name. I just type in grid paper transfer tape on Amazon. This is really good because it helps the customer apply the decal. So when you peel it off, you know, it's clear, but it has that gridding still on it. So I don't know if you can see the grid is still there. Let me cut it. So I really like this. My customers really appreciate it, especially if they're not too skilled at applying vinyl. It definitely helps as long as you line it up right. So you can see the grid on there, and you need to lay your, let's do this really quick. You need to lay your transfer tape on top of your decal. Take your scraper, scrape it down until all of the air bubbles are out. And you know, sometimes it'll get like a little bunched up. Like, you ever have that where you're doing the decal and it kind of like folds over on itself? It's okay. Like, don't try to fix it. As long as it looks like it still is intact, when you peel it off, it's not going to make a difference. So same thing like I said with the mat. And let me peel the backing off of the transfer tape. Don't peel the transfer tape off of the backing. And I want you to notice, like, I don't pull it up and out. I literally pull it back at a flat angle. I'm pulling this back so sharp that the vinyl is just flying right off of it because I'm forcing it to come off. So that is so everything stayed intact. You have to use transfer tape for any type of vinyl project. Hope that was like a good in the air tutorial that I gave you.
Hey, Lexus, what brand is that? That grid transfer tape that you're using?
I literally don't, I'm gonna look it up right now. I just type in grid paper transfer tape on Amazon. Let me look and I can see. I'll find out for you. I know that this one is Frisco Craft grid paper. I'll know it when I see it.
Okay.
So it's called, I'm gonna type into the chat box, okay?
Okay.
Any questions about vinyl? I think that most people are pretty much okay with vinyl. That's the first thing that I started doing. We're all good. Okay. I don't want to waste. I want to get into the question, so I don't want to. Sometimes I go on and on and on, so I apologize. Okay, let's go back. Then we have print and cut. I think that we covered print and cut pretty well, so I'm not gonna, dive too much deeper into it, but I will tell you a couple of things. So I showed you how to upload it. Yes, you need a printer. I really like the Canon Pixma. I think it's a really good quality, but if you are starting out and you're not really sure, like, what kind of projects you want to do, you want to try print and cut, you don't want to spend like, crazy amount of money, HP NV printers are actually really great. And they have that HP Instant Ink program where you can get the ink for really virtually nothing. So this is a great printer. I do love it, but when I started out, I had an HP NV 5660, and I think I paid like $40 for it. It was refurbished. I'm going to show you my trick for print and cut. But you do need a printer. I will show you the trick after. You need sticker paper. So I like Online Labels. You need full sheet sticker paper. So Online Labels has probably the best prices. And I like the weatherproof matte. The regular matte it just looks cheap. So the weatherproof matte and the weatherproof glossy are really, really nice for print and cut. So I like that. Another thing about print then cut. So I was working with somebody yesterday, and they were having a really hard time. They were like, I don't know. They're like, I don't know, like it's not printing. It's I can't get it on the page. So you can only fit this box. This box is going to change depending on the size of what you're cutting. So I have it here. I put the size. You cannot exceed 9.25 by 6.75 inches. So if you have one sticker or one, it doesn't have to be a sticker, image that's that size, you can't exceed that. So if I have smaller images, I can only copy them so many times for them to fit in those bounds. So I'm going to show you what I mean by that. So I'm not, I don't want to be confusing. So let me show you what I mean by that. And I'm going to use this wild one sticker. I swear I'm not like pimping out my own designs. I just have it on hand. So let's make this really small, like 2 inches by, looks good. I'm going to go to make it. Okay. So, oops, I skipped a step. I have to flatten it. I have to let my Cricut know that this is a print then cut. Okay. So when I go to print then cut, it's this black line is what is your Cricut is going to use to find where to cut the outline. So if I want to make this, I want 8 copies or 9 copies. Okay, I still have some more room. I can probably do 12. Okay, I'm starting to get out of the bounds of the print then cut. So if I do, yeah, so this is as big as you can make your print then cut. This one obviously didn't fit, so they put it on a different page. So even though there's extra space, Cricut just doesn't want you to use all your paper. It will not let you go out of those bounds. And sometimes if my image is bigger, so let's say this is like a 10 inches wide, right? If I go to make it, it's going to tell me that my project is incompatible because of the size. So jot that size reference down so you have it, to reference. Can't cut bigger than that. Okay, so now I have a little bit about, I'm sorry, does anybody have any questions about that? Actually, I see one. So if you use glossy, do you still have to put a laminate sheet on top of it? Laminate sheets are personal preferences. They're personal preferences. I'm also going to tell you, and I know that this is a Cricut class, there are certain things that I don't even think pay for you to use your Cricut for. If you're solely going to be a sticker business and you are going to sell stickers, use an app like Sticker App because they can produce those stickers for you at a rate that is, you can't even fathom how cheap they can produce a high quality sticker for. So laminate, I'm sorry, I'm going on a tangent again, but laminate it's a preference. I personally don't use a laminate ever, but some people do like to do that. On glossy, I wouldn't. That's just, a personal preference. So there is a website called Sticker App that you can upload your own designs and they will, print you whatever kind of sticker you want. Like I said, I see a lot of people who are solely sticker businesses. I'm not saying don't use your Cricut to print them out every so often, but I just feel like if you want a really high quality sticker, this is a hobby machine. You can have a business, you can do so many things with it, but like I said, there are just some things that personally I would outsource. Like I said, just my opinion. So let's talk a little bit before we get into the Q&A, which is like, I know why most of you are here, of where I buy stuff. So I was saying before, don't buy the Cricut brand, really anything. It kind of stinks. I'm just going to be honest. It really kind of stinks. So for vinyl, I use Oracle 651 and Oracle 631 is removable vinyl. I have never used this in my life except to make a stencil. I guess if you're putting something on a wall and you're worried about it like pulling the paint off, you would use this, but like Oracle 651 is permanent, but if you really try to get it off, it's going to come off. So permanent doesn't mean, what you think it does. So tech wrap vinyl is where I buy all of my holographic vinyl. I typically get it off the website, but you can get it on Amazon. So tech wrap. And then for my pattern vinyl, I get it from Expressions Vinyl. I don't trust anybody else for pattern vinyl other than Expressions. They also sell heat transfer patterned heat transfer vinyl. The only place to do it for patterned, just like I said, just my personal opinion. Heat transfer vinyl, you want to stick to Sizer HTV, and I'm going to show you a website that I like to use, and that's 651 Vinyl. And they pretty much have every single heat transfer vinyl you can imagine. So if you go to HTV, they have Sizer HTV, and they have all these different options. So I typically, for my basic colors, I use Easy Weed. Stretch is good if you're doing like, you know, something that's really stretchy, like a, you know, like a tank top or something that's ribbed. I would go with stretch, but they have everything that you could possibly imagine, and the prices are pretty reasonable compared to what they are at Michael's. So you can buy them in sheets or you can buy them in rolls. So like, let's see, this is the roll that they sell at Michael's, the 12 by 5. And it's $13.99 on this website, and it's like $20 at Michael's. So, and they do have sales. They do run sales on here. Plus, they're changing their name. They will soon be 143 Vinyl. So, I'm sure the link will still work. Okay. And then somebody was asking me before about inkjet heat transfer vinyl. I don't recommend it, but if you really want to go for it, you can. You can just buy it on Amazon. There are a bunch of different brands. There's really not one brand of that sticks out to me, but that's just an option for you. Okay. And then this was just the color pack that I was talking about. You can get it on Zindi.com, or you can just buy it on Amazon. You just type in, you know, Oracle 651 bundle. Okay. Is there such a thing as holographic sticker paper that I can get? So holographic sticker paper, I guess that would be tech wrap vinyl. When I think of sticker paper, I think of something that's going through a printer. So there's no holographic sticker paper that I know of, but there is vinyl. So tech wrap would be the place to go for that. And I have tons of it. So let me actually grab a few rolls because I'm a big tech wrap fan. I'll show you. So this is my tech wrap. This is the High Canth. I have no idea how to say that. High Canth blue. It's gorgeous, but this is not, like, I can't put this through my printer, but I can cut with it. It's literally, this stuff is mind-blowing. Every light that it's in, it changes colors. It's so nice. I just stare at it sometimes. I love it so much. So one more thing before we get into the questions is where to buy designs, because I did talk about, you know, buying designs, buying SVGs. I'm trying to steer you into the direction of just getting SVGs so you can jot down a couple of these. I buy most of my clip art on Etsy because Etsy sellers know what crafters want because they're crafters themselves. So I typically type in, like, you know, birthday cake cut file, baseball cut file, digital clip art. Any of these keywords are good. And if you type in Cricut, you'll find a lot of people who actually have tested them with Cricut, make sure that they work, they're good to go. You can find free SVGs at lovesvg.com, and I will show you that website. The only thing with this is that you can't sell these designs. So these are really just for personal use. So personal versus commercial use. Basically, these are free. They're for personal use only. You can't sell these. So you can use these designs for, you know, a gift. You can make something for yourself, but you can't sell them on Etsy. They will come after you. So that's Love SVG. thehungryjpeg.com/freebies. They have freebies also. You can go to Google in certain instances for personal use. You just have to type in transparent background and kind of weed through what you're looking for. Fonts, I get fonts on Etsy. They are paid fonts. Fonts, dafont.com. It always is funny to say. These are all free. So if you're not selling them, you can use them. Some of them are for commercial use, like see these say free for personal use only. But when you click on them, typically they will bring you to a place where you can actually buy the font. So see, it says, my fonts are free for use, allowed in personal products, not for profit or charity use. So you can go to this website and you can buy a license to actually use this font and sell it on your products. That's a good website. 1001fonts.com is a good website also. So then that whole, like we touched on, personal use versus commercial use. So I talked a little bit longer than I was anticipating. So I think that some people are going to have questions about business. So I'm not going to give my whole spiel yet. If you guys have questions about that, I think we can kind of branch off from there. So questions, comments, concerns, cries of outrage. Everybody feel a little bit better than when they started? Everybody feeling okay? If you guys want to ask a question, you can type in the chat or you can take yourself off mute.
Alexis, is flatten solely used for when printing like stickers, or is flatten, what other purposes does it have?
So if you want to, anything that you want to print. So flatten is basically what you're telling your Cricut that you need to print before you cut it. So I know I say stickers a lot, and not just because a lot of people are doing that, but for greeting cards, typically, like if you want to make cutouts, like sometimes I make clip art for my classroom, and it's just easier for me to, print it on cardstock and then have my Cricut cut it. So that is just the command that is telling your Cricut, I need to print it. Does the trick of sharpening your blade with foil really work? I've never tried that. I've never tried that one. It does. Okay, Joanna says it does work. Does it? How do you do it?
So normally I just grab like a foil and I just cut it like 3-4 times, and then it works for me. I haven't bought a blade and I've been using my Cricut for a year.
There you go. I don't think you need to replace blades as often as Cricut tries to make you buy new ones. That's a good trick.
So,
try that one.
When I first bought my Cricut, I noticed like some of this stuff was coming out like jagged edge. So I was like, well, maybe this was used before, but now I'm like, now I think I need to sharpen it. And I've only had it like 3 months.
If you're doing a lot of work, like it just depends on the volume of work that you're doing, you might. And I found that when I used glitter cardstock, it was like sandpaper on my blade. I mean, I would cut one sheet of glitter cardstock and then try to cut like, a piece of vinyl, and it wouldn't cut through. So depends on the materials. Yeah, Joanna's like, that's happened. Does anybody have any business questions? Because I feel like a lot of people, yesterday that was like a hot topic, talking about business. Or any other questions? If anybody has specific questions too, like I actually helped a couple of people through like something that they were trying to do yesterday. I'm on here for a little bit longer, so I'm happy to assist you if you need. Okay, so I'm curious about business, but I don't even know where to begin. So I only recently started an Etsy shop. I sold on the Facebook Marketplace for years, and I still do to this day. So my biggest bit of advice is everything that you make, take good pictures of it. Even if it's like something for your mom, something for your neighbor, like even if you don't think anyone would want to buy something like that, take a picture of it in good lighting and keep it in a folder on your computer. So when you're ready to open, whether it be a storefront or, whatever it is, you want to have a good log of your projects. And then, you have to kind of like build the plane as you're flying it. So just open an Etsy, put something up there, and figure out the rest as you go. I'm working on a lot of content like YouTube videos and blog posts specifically about business, because like you have a really good money-making tool. Like I don't blame you guys for wanting to start a business and make some money. So tips on engagement to promote your business. Okay, I'm gonna be really honest. I have tried for years, I mean years, to build a social media following. It's like impossible. It's so difficult up until May 30th when I posted one TikTok video that just like exploded. I didn't even try. I didn't think it was going to happen. It actually took 2.5 weeks for that video to blow up to what it did. It was a video about Disney, making Disney crafts. Because of that platform, people then followed me to Instagram, and then people followed me to YouTube, and then people followed me to Etsy. So my biggest following was,
Same. I found you TikTok.
Yeah, that's like I have almost 60,000 followers on TikTok, and it's funny because people went from TikTok to Instagram where I have 8,000, then to YouTube where I have 1,000, and then like they kind of funneled from there. So you have to use other forms of social media to build the other form of social media, if that makes sense. Get yourself on TikTok because the algorithm is on fire. The Instagram algorithm is terrible. I actually get more likes on Instagram photos when I don't use hashtags. So tell me how that makes,
Can you speak again on your phone?
Yes, it's not working.
It's not working, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah. So, I'm sorry. Yeah. So I used my TikTok to build my other social medias. Get yourself on TikTok. But I'm going to give you my other bit of advice. And this is like top secret information. You make money by doing what I'm doing right now, selling to sellers. Everybody wants to make money. Everybody wants to get a Cricut and make money. So you want to target part of your business. Like, yes, like sell your crafts. I still do that. But have some things that you can sell to sellers. You're making stickers, sell stickers that people can put on their product packaging. Sell, like freebies that people will buy your stickers in bulk if they can include them in your packaging. Does that make sense? Like that for me took off more than the actual products that I was selling. So that's like my free little bit of advice there. So yeah, and before it shuts down, before it shuts down TikTok or before the algorithm changes. How do you track your income for your crafting business? So in terms of taxes, people always ask like, oh, do I need to get an LLC? Do I need to file for a DBA? I wouldn't do any of that. You don't need to like have a tax form to sell to friends and family. Like, I'm just going to be honest, right? Like, you don't need to have an LLC to go on Facebook and say, hey, I'm selling this cup. It's X amount of dollars. When you go on Etsy, you don't need those things either. When you get to a certain point where you're making a certain amount of money, Etsy is going to say to you, we need a little bit more information from you. If you make more than $600, they are going to mail you a 1099 tax form. So that's just in terms of taxes. And then your income is tracked on Etsy. If you are doing your business personally, like you're not using Etsy or you're using another e-commerce website, you should get a program like QuickBooks. They do have a free program. I am old school and I just keep it all on an Excel spreadsheet. I put everything that I buy, and then what my profit is. So Etsy does calculate the profit for you. They tell you like what you make after the taxes and the fees. But I am very old school. I just keep a list of what I spent and what I earned. You also want to know what your profit margins are. So for each individual item that you're selling, you need to figure out how much does it cost you to make that product, and what is the profit that you're actually walking away from. And then it's easy to do your tax, to do your information like that, because I sold 10 cups and I made this profit. So you need to know your profit margins for that. I'm still like, as far as like the financial side, I'm still building that plane as I'm flying it. Definitely get a separate account, like a checking account for your business. It makes it a lot easier. So I have like that separate account, and that's where I am buying my products from that account. You don't want to mix like your personal and your business account. So how do you like to price your items? So me personally, I take my cost. So if I made this Starbucks cup and it costs me $5 to make, I times my cost by 3 and I would charge $15 for it. You can do it like that. Some people like to pay themselves an hourly wage, but I don't know. I feel like and this is like not, this is not like maybe how everybody should do it, but I love crafting and I don't feel like I want to look at it like I'm paying myself a wage, because I'm making money and I'm literally just using my own 2 hands. I'm not leaving my house. I don't have to get a babysitter for my son. So that's why me personally, I just take my materials and I times it by 3. So you have to do what you feel. Yeah. I don't know. Is that like weird? Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, I just feel like I'm not getting up and going to work. So I feel like, do I need to pay myself an hourly wage? I feel like in my head that makes me feel like I'm making more money.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
What do you use for packaging or like for shipping and packaging?
So for shipping, that's a new one. For shipping, I integrate pirateship.com with Etsy. So I'll show you guys actually. It's super easy to do and it's free. You are going to get the cheapest prices for your packages. So Pirate Ship, I don't know if people's addresses are gonna be here, so I'm gonna try to, we'll see. So yeah, pirateship.com, you just create a free account. You go through the whole thing, and then you import your Etsy. So it's going to ask you to link your Etsy account. It'll put all of your Etsy orders in it, and then it tells you that you put in like, this is the size of my box, this is how much it weighs, and it gives you the cheapest price. It's way cheaper than doing it at the post office. So for that, you need, and I'm sorry that I'm getting up and wandering. I have a little food scale. That I got on Amazon. I had it actually. That weighs in ounces. You want to get this down as much as you can. Like sometimes, like when I first started out, I would guess. I'd be like, oh, this package I think weighs like a pound, and it would really weigh like 6 ounces, and I was paying more money that I didn't need to pay. So definitely get a little scale. That's helpful. And then I buy my boxes on Amazon. I don't have a specific vendor. I buy whoever has it for the cheapest price. Amazon for boxes are a little bit expensive. eBay has really good prices. I don't know, like, I guess it's just a different server. Uline.com. Let me type this in here. Uline, and Amira, I see your question. Uline, you pack and ship. But I buy them on eBay. I just type in, like for my Starbucks cups, I use the 10 by 4 by 4 box. And I buy them, you can't just buy one box. So try to find boxes that are versatile to what you're doing so you don't get stuck with 50 boxes.
Question, does Pirate Ship is that only to be used with an Etsy account, or can you use that aside from, let's say I don't have an Etsy account yet?
Yeah. You can use it you don't have to have an Etsy account.
Okay.
I use it when I'm shipping things, to family in another state. I don't know why. It's free and it has the best prices, so I use it for everything.
Thank you.
So what are the rules of trademarks? I see registered trademarks, phrases being sold all the time, but at the same time So there are certain things that when you are selling that are trademarked. Like somebody literally trademarked the phrase girl mom. Like that you can't use it. Listen, it's very hard for people to trademark words like that. And I find that people who have actually, made a t-shirt that said girl mom on it, and when the person said, oh, I own the trademark to that, their lawyer, the seller's lawyer, came back and was like, you don't own those 2 words. Like you can't own the word girl and you can't own the word mom. So you wanna be be aware that there are certain things, but don't worry about making designs and being like, oh my God, is this phrase trademark? Just stay away from making Disney items, stay away from making, using the Louis Vuitton logo, Nike, Adidas. Stay away from those, but don't get yourself wrapped up in those phrases because those trademarks really, people don't have the rights to them, and it's really more of a scare tactic. So I just downloaded a font from Defont. How do I find that on Design Space? So did you download it onto your computer? Like, do you know how to do that? Like actually like download it and install it. And to find it, if you did do that, you just go to, oh, I closed it out, sorry. Okay, so it should be, let me share my screen again. It should be when you go to text, oh, type in the word hello, it should be up here. So in the left corner, you should see font. And then I go to system. If you go to all, it has all the Cricut fonts and all of the other fonts that like live on your computer. So go to system and it will just show you what you downloaded, and then I search for it after I download it. All right. Yes, Joanna, yeah, when you download a font, if you have Cricut open, you have to close it out. You have to shut it down completely, force quit it, and then open it up. Like you can't, like if you're doing it at the same time, like Cricut has to restart. Okay? Okay. Anybody else? Any questions?
The apricot font that you have, is that from Defont?
So the apricot font, another place that I love to get fonts is creativemarket.com, because they sell bundles, and that was in a bundle. Let me see if I can find it for you guys. That had 25 fonts in it, all with commercial use, and I think that it was a really good price. Let me see if I can find it. That would be my suggestion if you do want to sell. The font bundles on Creative Market are a really, really good price, and you get tons of different fonts, and the fonts usually pair really well together too. So, what was it? Font bundle. Sorry, just watching my computer spin. Yeah, so $29, and you're getting like all of these fonts. I think it was this one. Yep, this is it. The designer's font bundle. It's $19. You get 95 fonts and 200 design elements, which are like clip arts. And KA Designs is an awesome font designer. So 95 fonts, all commercial use. This is it, apricots. So definitely check out Creative Market. They have like the best deals.
Question. So when you go on like Etsy, do you use like keywords for it to trigger like more sellers, or?
So you mean for your listing?
Yes.
Yes. So when you are creating your Etsy listing, there's a couple of things that you have to do. Your title shouldn't just be like, you know, Rainbow Starbucks Tumbler Cup. Rainbow Starbucks Tumbler Cup, comma, birthday gift, positivity cup, you know, things that like you want to type in, like somebody's looking for a gift, right? So I'm looking for, you know, birthday gift for my daughter. People are literally going to type that phrase into their Etsy search. So that should be one of your tags. When I create my tags, I think of like when I'm looking for something to buy on Etsy, what do I search? You know, like when I go on Amazon and I'm like, birthday gift for husband's birthday or Mother's Day gift, you want to type your tags as if you are the one searching it, and you want to use up every single one of your tags. So that's the tag portion. Your description should also be long and detailed, because that will trigger keywords as well. Don't put you know, cup. Like cup should not be one of your tags. It should be rainbow, leopard, rose gold, Starbucks cup is one tag. Don't waste your tags on like, you know, pencil holder. You know, you want to be really, really detailed. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I have, like I said, I have so many things going on and coming out, but I do want to help like my sellers a little bit more. So I have a couple of things coming, freebies that I think will be helpful. Is there an expiration date on the license that you get? Typically, no. I've never seen there be an expiration date. You because you own it, right? Like you buy it, you can't get rid of a digital file. It's not like a physical thing. So what you want to do is just keep your receipts. If you buy them on Etsy, then, you know, all your receipts are there. Personally, I have never had somebody message me and say, hey, I see you're using my font. Do you have a commercial use license? But it doesn't mean that you should just use it for free anyway. Like, I'm just going to be honest. I've never had that happen to me. But the seller does have the right to ask you if you have proof of purchase. The big thing with like fonts is that, you know, these small business owners have an Etsy shop like KA Font Designs, and a big company will see her font and put it on a billboard in Times Square in Manhattan. And like, that's not cool, obviously. So they do have rights, and that's kind of where that, you know, where that comes from. So have your receipts. Same thing for clip art too.
Are pretty much all those commercial ones, are they hand drawn like on Procreate or something like that?
So it depends. A lot of these font designers were designing fonts before Procreate, and what they were doing is there's like a I don't know what it's called, but there is a template that you buy off of, I think Adobe sells it, and it's a grid that says A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and you can hand write with a pencil on it, upload it into your computer, and it creates a font for you. So I'm talking like big time font designers like Kimberly Geschwin, Misty Miller, they're not doing it on Procreate. They're hand drawing it, putting it into Illustrator, and perfecting it. Procreate is a good way to do it. You can do it on Procreate for sure. All right. So I will hang out here for a couple more minutes if you guys have more questions. I hope that this was helpful. I hope you have a little bit more clarity, and you know, you feel a little bit more comfortable. You're going to get the recording. You're going to get the presentation that I showed you, and you're going to get my ebook when it comes out to hopefully tomorrow night, if not Saturday morning. I'll send you a link where you can download it. And if you guys have any questions, I'm pretty good at answering my messages. So if you have any questions, you can reach out to me. I'm happy to help you in the best way that I can. Okay? Thanks, guys. I hope you had fun. I know I haven't I am a teacher. I'm actually going to stop recording this now. So I'm a teacher, and